Those who have the best year are not the ones who had the best January typically. It's those who showed up in June, halfway through the year, and they ran through this system. They did a reset. You have 6 months. That's about 26 weeks and about 180 days left. That's a lot of time. Use them wisely.
Welcome to Success Spectrum Podcast, where new entrepreneurs break free from limiting beliefs, build unshakable financial confidence, and step boldly into the life and business they were meant to create.
Can you believe it's already June? We're halfway through the year. But you know what this calls for? When we're halfway through the year, it's time to pause and to reflect. Most entrepreneurs never do this, and that's where we are. We got to stop. We got to take a look at where we're at, where we said we wanted to be, where we actually are, and what needs to change to get to where we want to be by the end of the year. This is important because there's research that shows what we've all heard throughout our lives, which is about 80% of people fall off their New Year's resolutions by February. 80%. You're probably one of those people. I'm probably one of those people, at least in one area. Now, that's important to know, not to push you down or talk negative to you, but to look at that and again, take that for what it is. That's the data. Are you going to be a statistic or are you going to fight against that and reset? You're here, so I'm thinking you're going to reset. Let's go through it. So let's go through what we've got to do to help you to get that reset and to reprioritize. Because if you just stay busy and you keep working and working, you never realize that you are off track. You don't give yourself a time to pause. And as entrepreneurs, it's easy to stay busy, especially entrepreneurs working on a job as well. It's easy to stay busy. It's too easy. We get lost in it, but it's not about getting stuck or lost in the day-to-day. It's about taking a chance or a moment for yourself to, again, pause and just see what's going on, to reflect, to see where you're at, to see where you've come and what you've been doing that got you here. Because once you realize that, I was telling somebody the other day, when you pause and reflect and look at the past, things you could have done differently show up to get you to a different place, a better place. However, it's not to look at that and get sad or upset about it. It's to look at that and say, okay, I could have done this, this, and that, because hindsight is 20/20, and it would have led me to this position where I am now, right? In the present, I would have been in a better position. Cool. I cannot go back and change the past, but I can change my future based off of the present. So all that means is looking at that data from the past. Now we can use that to take the right steps in our present to get to where we want to go. So again, if we're off track right now compared to where we said we wanted to be in the beginning of the year, we might not be there. We might be a little below it. We might be missing the mark. We might be on a completely different ladder compared to the ladder we said we wanted to be on. And that's all right, because that's what this is about, to take time to look at that and make some adjustments. There's 3 things we've got to look at when it comes to the halftime audit, I'll call it. There's the results. What did you plan at the beginning of the year? You plan to be at $250,000 by the end of the year. You plan to be at whatever it might be, have a certain amount of clients, launch this business, get a certain level of fitness. You plan to read a certain amount of books. What did you plan? Did you plan to read a book a month? Did you plan to read 2 books a month? Did you plan to go to the gym every day or at least 5 times, 3 times a week? What is it? What did you plan? Make it specific, right? Look at the numbers. Look at that and compare it to where you actually are. And again, this isn't to create some type of woe is me energy, but it's for a reason. We're going somewhere with this. So what did you actually accomplish versus what did you plan? Be specific. If it's revenue driven, if it's a certain amount of clients, skills you said you wanted to acquire, certain content you wanted to release, put a number on it, right? We need a metric on it, because if it's not measured, then of course we don't know where we're at. And if it's not measured, there's no growth. So we need a real metric, something that we can use to measure it. What is the reason we are where we are versus where we said we wanted to be? That's number 2, right? The reason, what got in the way? And we've got to be honest about it. There's external circumstances, there's an internal avoidance. The goal isn't again to create some type of guilt, but it's just to get clarity. Where are we and what got in the way? Why did we not achieve what we wanted to achieve? Or why are we not halfway towards that goal when we're halfway through the year? And it's not to say we're off track. If we're still moving in the right direction, that's great. But we might need to double our efforts. We might need to triple our efforts in some cases. But that's what this is about, to see the adjustment and the reset. Number 3, the reset that we need to take or make to get us to where we want to be. So we need to kind of reset our priorities. What is the number one priority that we realize, because we looked at the results, we looked at the reasons, the number one priority we realize we need to focus on, we need to set over the next 90 days. If you hit this number, if you hit this priority, then it will make the whole year worth it. It would make the whole year get back on track, or it would make it a win for you. What is that one priority? That's what that reset piece is about, number 3. So again, results, reasons, and reset. And let me tell you why this is so important, and not just me spitting information at you, if you will. This has been validated. Howard Schultz, the founder, I believe it is, of Starbucks, in 2008, he returned to Starbucks and he realized that profits were down, margins were down, the stock dropped over 40%. What he did was he closed all of the US stores, about 7,100 US stores, for 3.5 hours. 3.5 hours. Do you know the amount of revenue a Starbucks loses in 3.5 hours? 3.5. If you stand in front of Starbucks, or you stand inside of Starbucks, and you count the amount of people going in and the ridiculous, so I have a personal gripe with Starbucks, sorry, but the amount that they're paying for their drinks, how many people walk in, how many people are purchasing drinks, and some of them aren't even just purchasing one, they're purchasing multiple. So 3.5 hours in one store, never mind 7,100 stores. They shut down over 7,000 stores for 3.5 hours on a Tuesday evening and brought in every barista for retraining. There was no revenue being brought in. They were just resetting, because he understood there was a problem here. He looked at the data. He looked at the results. He looked at the reasons why it's happening, and he reset, because he set the priority, saying we need to retrain these baristas and bring them back to the basics. And Starbucks is great because their customer service is on another level. People thought he was crazy though. People thought Howard Schultz was losing his mind. They didn't realize what he was doing and the genius behind what he was doing. Within just a few years after he did that, Starbucks fully recovered and the stock reflected that. See, a lot of people think a reset is a retreat, but it's not a retreat. It's, let me take a moment to see what's been happening, to figure out why it's been happening, and to make the adjustments. Until you do that, you're unable to really make a change. And that's why there's halftime and periods in sports. They look at what's been happening, what's been going on. How is our defense getting eaten up by this other team? They're using this formation. We're using this formation, and clearly there's gaps. We need to adjust. We need to do something different. Feed the ball to number 3 instead of to number 1 all the time. There's adjustments that can be made when you review the data, but it's not just about reviewing the data. It's about doing something with the data.
Apex Coaching with Kadeem has helped me drastically in my coaching business. As a new entrepreneur who's juggling masters, a family of 4, and also getting new clientele when it comes to real estate, he's really helped me streamline and understand the clarity and also the need for financial stability and stewardship in order to grow. This growth has allowed me to enhance and help my family out in multiple ways. It helped my family out before we was even making any more money. So if he can help me with what I have without growing it, and then later I see it growing, that's a sign of a winner right there. So I implore you to join. I implore you to take the resources. I implore you to get the book. I implore you to employ Apex.
Do you know oftentimes why people fall off their goals? It's not because they don't want it. They can want it so bad, but still not make it happen. One of the reasons is because you're the only one who knows about your goal. You didn't share it with anybody. And one of the reasons you probably didn't share it with anybody is because you're afraid of the accountability if you don't go after it. If you don't take the daily action to get it. If you don't acquire it, you're afraid of what that looks like. Accountability is so important, and sharing this with somebody, sharing your goals with somebody to say, hey, I need you to keep me on track. Check in on me. That is what can push you to the next level oftentimes. That is oftentimes what can get you out of bed and get you to the gym in the morning. That is what can help you to make those calls to those clients or those prospects, to go and knock on doors, whatever it might be in your situation. That is what can push you when you are too in your own head, let's say, the negative side, not the advocate, but the antagonist in your brain, if that's the right word, is fighting you. Sometimes just having another person who, you know what, no, I don't want that person to call me or message me, and I've got to tell them that I didn't get it done today. Not that they should be the reason you do it every single day or you want to go after this thing, but they're a reason when you cannot find a reason for yourself sometimes. If the reason you started this thing sometimes fades and it pales in comparison to the desire to stay in bed and to relax, then that's where accountability can kick in. And you can say, your brain might say, you know what? No, I don't want to tell this person that I didn't accomplish it today. I'm going to get up and I am going to make this thing happen. That is where accountability comes in, and it is so vital. So you've done the audit, you know your results, you understand your reasons why you didn't accomplish it yet or you're not on track. You've named your reset priority and someone else knows about it. You have an accountability partner. That's the full loop that we're talking about here. And the US Army does something similar since the 1970s. It's called an after action review, if I'm not mistaken. And what they do is after every single mission, they ask 3 critical questions. What did we expect to happen? What really did happen? And what do we have to do differently next time to cover for those mistakes, to close that gap, if you will? So if one of the most disciplined organizations in the world has an entire culture around stopping, reviewing, and adjusting, and they made that a standard operating procedure, why would we not follow the blueprint? And that's what today was all about, your halftime adjustment. So before you move on, go back to your 3 answers. Write them down if you haven't written them down already. Put them somewhere you can see them. Put them in a notepad or wherever it might be for you. Write them down and say them out loud. Send them to whoever your accountability partner is. Because again, if you don't have an accountability partner, it's all in your mind. It's easier to quit on you, unfortunately, than it is to quit on other people.
What if shopping could earn you cash instead of just costing you? You've been stuck in the cycle, tap, swipe, spend, watching your paycheck just disappear. But one day, after you stumbled onto this app called Rakuten, you ask yourself, why am I paying full price when I don't have to? But then you think, maybe it's just another gift. Then one of your friends tell you about this app called Rakuten, who makes them money and gives them cash back and rewards for thousands of stores every time they make a purchase that they were made anyway. You try it once, you discover hidden deals, compare prices, and you start winning. Shopping becomes a strategy. Every tap pays you back, and you still get what you want. You share Rakuten with your friends, watch your income grow, and become more financially confident. Download the Rakuten app today and keep more of your hard-earned money in your pocket.
The audit only works if you add this 4th step, which is the accountability. And what you'll find is those who have the best year are not the ones who had the best January typically. It's those who showed up in June, halfway through the year, and they ran through this system. They did a reset. You have 6 months. That's about 26 weeks and about 180 days left. That's a lot of time. Use them wisely. One other question you can ask yourself here is if December 31st, the end of the year comes, and everything changed for you this year for the better. Your money is up, your fitness is up, your health is up, your mental state is up, your relationships are better, your housing or environment is better, your friendships, whatever it might be. If everything changed for the better, what was the one thing that made that happen? Put yourself in the future in that state and ask yourself that question. If everything changed, what one thing made that happen? So if you've done the audit, you know what you want, but you're not clear on how to get it. That's exactly where the Apex Blueprint comes in. That's what it's built for. It's your personal playbook to map out your strategy, your priorities, and your next move so you stop guessing and you start executing. If you're ready to take action, go to apexaffiliation.com/blueprint. Teams can be down at halftime, whether it's football, whether it's soccer, or American football or football, depending on how you want to say it, whatever sport it might be, whatever situation it might be, whatever corporation, it's not about, they don't lose at halftime. They review, they plan, and they make the adjustment. All right, share this out with somebody who you know can benefit from this. I know this was valuable for you. And remember, success is not a destination, it's a spectrum. So keep evolving. Kadeem here, and I'll see you on the next one.